A empezar otro episodio de Chacoca aquí con unas amigas de Los Ángeles,
Woo!
con Irma and Trini.
Mhm.
Wait, Trini is it Trini or is it like Trinidad?
Trinidad es mi mamá.
Oh, there you go.
Pero
Cool.
si quieres me puedes llamar Trini Daddy.
with no comma. Don't put a comma in there.
Querías el party vino, ¿ok?
El party, no, sí, es como la conocí. Yo me acuerdo cuando la primera vez que te conocí, Trini, fue cuando Irma nos invitó al Friendsgiving hace como 4 años.
Oh, yeah.
Y
Qué
Trini,
vergüenza.
yeah, Trini estaba lit. I just remember ¿quién es esa muchacha? Porque pues de verdad nomás conocíamos a Irma en barely. Tenemos como 1 mes, 2 meses que la habíamos conocido. Y nomás a ella y a su novia y pues nomás y como eran ustedes ustedes 3 y unos 4 amigos. And Trini was very much the life of the party.
Oh my
La
God.
única forma de vivir.
Y luego que llega al trabajo como a los 2 meses y ay güey el mother party. So, it was good. Pero ¿cómo han estado? ¿Cómo las ha tratado la vida durante COVID? ¿Qué han hecho? O nada, nomás ahí en la casa comiendo y durmiendo?
Ya, la mayoría nada más ahí en la casa comiendo, durmiendo, trabajando todavía. Personalmente, estábamos hablando de esto en nuestra podcast de nosotros también, que aunque 2020 fue bien feo para mucha gente, a mí especialmente me ayudó con mi negocio, me ayudó a crecerlo mucho y es algo que no hubiera podido hacer si no hubiera pasado esto, desafortunadamente, pero es así me está tratando a mí.
Eso creo que le está ayudando a mucha gente que tiene como su negocio que tiene más tiempo para hacer, no están saliendo, no están de fiesta, pues a que enfocar toda su energía en hacer algo. Y tu negocio es de pestañas, ¿verdad? Right?
Ya,
Era.
Oh.
It's like a Latina lifestyle brand.
Oh.
So it's like for me personally, porque me creí en Los Ángeles, pero también viví en México, entonces es como combinando estos dos mundos para gente que es, bueno, they call us Chicanas, right? So like Chicanas because you were born in the US, but you're still really connected to your roots, y también porque pues tuve la experiencia de vivir en México, entonces it's hard to explain your mission in Spanish, pero es como it's to be relatable with other people that are Latin American and they're like, you're not Mexican enough to fit in Mexico, but you're not white enough to be, American.
No, sí, porque es una pregunta que también yo les he estado haciendo a muchas personas. Como tú dijiste que tu nombre es como chicana, que yo nunca me he sentido chicano, porque yo crecí en Kansas, y más cerquita de la escena como la gente que es como tejana o chicana, o también yo viví en México y como no soy como soy de aquí, yo en México no soy mexicano, soy americano. Pero tener como ese problema de identidad y cómo nos relacionamos entre la gente, creo que teniendo una marca, un brand que pueda hacer esa conexión, nos puede ayudar como a dar una identidad, porque pues lo malo que todos queremos como un label, y entre más label nos damos, como que más nos separamos, y es como más para unirnos un poco. Y luego, it's cool. I'll have to look at it a little bit more. I thought it was just the eyelash.
Well, that's how it started, right?
Yeah.
So empezó con una guía en belleza, pero luego it took a mind of its own and it just...
¿Qué vendes o qué más es?
Pues ahorita nada más es básicamente ropa. So it's like ropa que estoy diseñando yo personalmente y releasing it. Y like dichos y arte que uno al otro entiende porque lo ha escuchado dentro de su familia. Entonces son como dichos, yo diría queridos y that you relate to, and then you're like applying like a modern twist to it, right? So that's what it is right now, yeah.
It's cool. Me da mucha felicidad que te has empinado y que te hagas, pues estás enfocándote en tu tiempo libre en hacer algo para ti, porque sé que nos conocimos los tres trabajando en una empresa hace unos 4 años y sabemos que ahí trabajamos mucho overtime y a veces no nos da tiempo para, pues, para seguir como un sueño o algo aparte, que es por eso que que estoy muy feliz que, pues, que hayas encontrado pues algo que te guste y que te, que te ayude a identificarte a ti misma y a otra gente como nosotros. So,
Ya, y digo, por eso es lo feo y lo bonito que vino del año 2020, porque si no hubiera pasado, no lo hubiera dedicado tanto tiempo. Yeah.
sí. ¿Y tú, Triny, qué estás haciendo
Uy.
en tu barrio?
Next question, please. No. Pues nomás lo mismo, quedar en la casa y pues nothing really.
No? Oh, man.
No, haven't. We started the podcast, but nothing of like, yeah.
Pero se enfocó mucho ella en su propia salud, en lo que mucha gente quiere empezar. Antes de COVID, ella empezó entre COVID, like focusing on staying healthy mentally and physically. And I don't think she's trying to give herself credit, but
sí me dijo que cuando estábamos tratando de grabar el video el sábado o el domingo, me dijo que había empezado a tomar sus clases en 24-hour fitness de like soul cycling o like cycling y que estaba bien adolorida del cuerpo. ¿Y qué más has hecho para cuidarte?
Pues tengo una máquina aquí en la casa y todos los días trato de hacer como, empezar I started like 15 minutes. I will only give myself 15 minutes, right? And then
a treadmill or a bike?
I have a elliptical.
Okay.
And I was dying. I was like, what, really? Like 15 minutes is doing this to me? Y cada día más I would just add more. And I was like, okay, let me try to do 20 minutes today. So now it's 20 minutes. So now I'm going an hour strong,
Heck yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. Pero yeah, no más eso. Y, I started with quarantine walks, because I was getting really cooped up and like depressed. So I decided to go out.
Pues yo cuando le estaba diciendo a Triny que yo empecé a entrenar para el maratón de San Francisco y eso me ayudó mucho porque yo empecé a correr y estaba corriendo, pues es bien mucho que tienes que correr. Entre semana eran como unas 15 millas.
Oh, wow.
So like 4, and then on Saturday and Sunday it'd be like a 10-mile run, 12-mile run. Yeah. Y eso que no me gusta correr, I hate running. Like I really hate
yo no puedo.
Like I ran today 4 miles.
That's my goal.
Huh?
My goal is to one day be able to just run a mile.
Yeah.
No, that's literally cuando yo empecé en enero, fue el segundo. Fuimos al mall aquí, compré unos tenis y ese día corrí 1 milla más. Like that was like it wasn't even like I didn't run. Like I.
Oh yeah, but
I waddled a mile. Y de ahí fui subiendo y subiendo y antes de que cancelaran el maratón llegué a 16 millas en un día, like in one long run. So creo que eso nos ayudó mucho porque mucha gente pues está diciendo que cómo cuidarse o no cómo cuidarse, pero cómo prevenir que nos contagiemos, pero y no mucha gente dice qué podemos hacer para ayudarnos a nosotros mismos a estar
mucho
un poco
limón
más.
y jengibre es lo que he estado tomando yo.
Really?
Limón y jengibre, ya.
¿Y si te está ayudando o no te está ayudando?
Te ayuda, dicen que es para tu immune system, que te lo deja, que te ayuda
un poco más.
To be strong.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you guys are taking care of your guys' self, and I'm excited that you're working out and using your elliptical, Trini, and hopefully you'll get the hour and a half, and then you get your run a mile, and Es nomás de empezar, es nomás de... So, sí, yeah,
¿Y qué has hecho tú en 2020, 2021, 2020? Besides, like you started your podcast, what influenced you to start your podcast?
Pues yo empecé con este podcast porque, como pues esa información de que yo miraba que un día nos decían una cosa, un día nos decían otra cosa, y miraba que en diferentes áreas, como en las áreas de salud, de dinero, de educación, cada quien tiene como su propio pensamiento. Y había sido como todos los podcasts en inglés que tienen como para hablar, que tienen estas audiencias grandes y creo que la comunidad hispana les falta pues, tener como una voz, pero que sí hay, porque entre más que me estoy metiendo a los podcasts en español, estoy mirando que hay muchísima gente como yo que quiere sacar un mensaje de cómo se tiene que estructurar como un retiro o cómo ser más saludable o sino más de diferentes cosas como el sábado pasado hablé con una muchacha que es de Chicago Public Schools y cómo la educación en Chicago varía dependiendo si vas a una escuela privada, una escuela pública, si trabajas para el Estado o así, como de diferentes cosas. Y yo tenía, pues, unos 2 años queriendo empezar algo. Y Jasmine was like, just freaking do it. Like, literally just do it. And I was like,
sometimes you need that. You need someone to just push you and do it. Irma's that for me, so.
Yeah, well, literally with Jasmine, with her business, literally like quitting her
That's crazy.
well-paying job and like literally going full-time and like
that's dedication.
Yeah, and like literally like moving here, and it's just like she's struggling, and 2020 was supposed to be her year, but she's busting her butt off, and then like it's starting to get better, obviously, with like things opening up again, and like seeing her like do all these courses and like trying to like really teach herself and like not really work for somebody, like just trying to build something for herself. Like I said, like we work so hard for other people, which is good because they pay your bills. But something it's good to have like they said like your little business or like your goals separated from it.
Oh yeah.
Something that I started. What did I do? Más pues corriendo nomás todos los días. It was so boring. Nomás correr, pues, entrenando para el maratón. Empecé flipping. Volteando, como
flipping. ¿Es eso como like flipping the bird?
No tengo, es que como empezando este podcast miré que pues mi pobre computadora que ya es del 2012, tengo ya 9 años, pues ya when I'm editing the videos, it's like super slow. It's like the fans just kick up real hard and it's just like it's gonna start on fire. So I need to save up for a computer, and I'm trying to pay it off, and I'm like, let me figure out a way. And Jasmine is really good at going to Goodwill and finding like really nice like jeans and clothes for herself. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go sell these pants on like Poshmark or like Mercari and all these things. And I'm like, which brands is it? So I started selling pants, like reselling like women's pants, and like,
oh wow.
And then so I literally go through like all the Goodwill stuff, and I'm like, oh, like this one. And
yeah.
Started from that, and then I started selling like just random stuff, like really random. Like I go to Goodwill and I'm like, oh, this little backpack looks cool. Let me look up the brand, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like a $200 bag.
Shut up.
And I'm like, okay, I can get like $70 for it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Then I'm like, oh, this is like you know those little Funko.
Oh yeah.
Compré uno de La La Land. En 8 lo vendí en 75.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Y compré lo más grande fue como una duffel bag que valía retail eran 400, la vendí en 150.
Wow.
So I'm up to like $1,300, just like.
¿Cuál Goodwill?
I know.
¿Cuál? I've been
Say their name.
I've been in all the Goodwills.
Yeah.
Angel used to do it.
Yeah, well, not sell it, but he would go to Goodwills all the time, and I'm like, I would try to go with him, but he has more patience than me. You definitely need patience para hacerlo.
No,
Paciencia.
Se encuentran cosas.
Sí, yeah.
No, pues, la mayoría de los grupos, lo malo que aquí en Los Ángeles, todos tienen como ese thrifting que van a
Oh,
comprar.
sí.
Fui a uno que está en Glendale y están dos Goodwills juntos, donde está como uno que es como bins, donde ellos ni racks, nada, ponen como todos en una tina grandota.
Oh, yeah.
Y pero son como 100 tinas. So people literally line up for hours. Like
Yeah.
hours to get into there, because you can literally, because it's by the pound, so you can buy like a whole bag of clothes for like $10.
Wow.
In those clothes you can get like a nice like vintage whatever shirt that sells for like $60 or $30 or whatever, and then
I
like
believe
and right
I
next
believe
to it,
Macklemore.
yeah, what was it?
Ever since that song came out, people have been thrifting.
Probably. So yeah, so literally that's what I'm doing, and I just started flipping, I'm on my first project to do furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, wow.
I'm like refinishing like a toy chest, like a big toy chest, and hopefully I bought it for $10. After everything that I put into it, I think I put into it like maybe like $50. I should be able to sell it for 300.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, sí
So
veo muchos videos de gente que agarra furniture and they flip it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do. That's my next project for the next like for a while. But the bad thing is like nomás tengo un carrito. So, estoy muy limitado en lo que puedo meterle.
Yeah.
So, el buró que compré estaba como a la pura medida y ojalá que me salga y empezar a flipping random stuff. So, está interesante y pues, para no andar aquí en la casa nomás viendo tele o haciendo nada. Realmente
Yeah.
mucha gente...
Ocupando tu tiempo, ¿no?
Sí.
Yeah.
Pues llamen, como este fin de semana tiene a wedding engagement. Y luego, pues, si yo nomás me quedo aquí en la casa solo, pues, ¿qué voy a hacer? Más miro Netflix y hacerme tonto por hacer algo. So, entre el podcast y flipping es como he pasado mis últimos cuantos meses. So, es algo muy interesante.
Yeah, it is. It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So, las quería traer para platicar un poquito de unos temas. El primero no lo habíamos puesto, pero creo que sí, Irma había tocado que como la identidad de los latinos, que es muy diferente, que somos un spectrum bastante grande, que pues mucha gente pues, se pelea entre uno y que nos llamen una cosa, que nos llamen otra cosa, y entre más que nos llamen una cosa, pues uno se enoja de que no nos llamen lo que quiere uno que nos llame. Como te había dicho antes, cuando yo estaba creciendo, pues íbamos a México mucho y yo miraba así en la comunidad en Kansas, creo que fue donde yo miré más la diferencia, porque había mucha gente que era de descendencia mexicana y ya no hablaban inglés, perdón, español. Y se me hacía muy interesante porque pues, uno en veces los mira como menos mexicanos o algo así, pero como esa cultura tejana, pues que ellos tienen aquí ya generaciones y ya realmente se puede perder muy, muy fácil el hablar el español. Y luego yo miraba como en la tele que este movimiento chicano, que cuando yo pienso que la gente chicana, yo siempre tengo la relación de que tienes que ser de California para ser chicano. Que yo no sé si es verdad, es como yo tengo la relación. So, que las dos son... Wait, Trini, were you born here?
I was born here, yeah, from LA.
So, ¿tú te sientes chicano o no te sientes chicana?
Ay, yo es
No se mira, no se mira tu apellido, pero el apellido de Trini es
Lubarsky.
Lubarsky.
Yeah, Lubarsky, and my second last is Mercado, so it's Lubarsky Mercado.
Heck yeah.
Mark it if you want.
Yeah. So, tú como, a ver, pues, tú como siendo mitad mexicana y mitad americana, or white, I guess.
Yeah, white. Canadian.
Ya canadiense.
Canadiense.
Un poquito más diferente.
Yeah.
¿Tú cómo te has sentido, Sina, como creciendo aquí en Los Ángeles, que la gente que es como muy orgullosa de ser de Los Ángeles, y
Yeah.
luego más que tenga como esa connotación que sean mexicanos también.
Sí, yeah. Toda mi vida pensé que estuvo mexicano solamente, you know, like I never considered myself half white until, you know, I started to get older and it was really more brought to my attention, you know, it was like, obviously I look white, but like, pero no sentía eso porque I didn't grow up with a white dad. So I only grew up in a Mexican household. So it wasn't until I was older when, you know, it became more apparent, like the separation between darker Hispanics and like light-skinned Hispanics. So, which is valid, but I've always considered myself full Mexican, even though I'm not. What are you, Irma?
Yeah. How about you, Irma? Since you were able to live a little bit, spend a little time in Mexico,
Yeah.
you're also from here. How have you identified, or how do you feel?
I think for me, siempre se me grabó ser muy orgullosa de ser latina, right? So, lo único que sí, like I experienced was cuando vivía en México, me hacían la burla, or they used to pick on me, you know, porque tú no eres mexicana, eres de Los Ángeles, eres gringa, entonces no quedas. Luego aquí, con otra gente, tampoco no vas a quedar porque you're not Mexican enough. Eres gringa también aquí, so it's like, for me, it was always the in between, and more so. And the sad part is that whenever there's like a disconnect, the majority of the time.
What? You were saying que no te sentías, dependiendo pues, con quién hablas, que nunca te miran como full X o full this o full
Yeah.
that.
Y luego, como Trini estaba diciendo, que hay como un estigma entre latinos a veces, y son los mismos latinos que te dicen que no eres latina, right? Porque estás muy güera, entonces tú no sabrás lo que es ser latina. Entonces, ¿cómo voy a saber qué es ser latina si viví ahí, fui a la escuela ahí? O sea, mis papás son de ahí, ellos me hablan en español, o sea, no sé qué es su definición de ser latina o no. But as far as like being proud of it, like I've always been proud of it, and I've never, I think we have such a rich culture, right? We have such a rich culture, and I think for me, it's highlighting the beauty of it, because for so many years and for so long, it's always been the negative that's been highlighted, you know, like we all know what is being told in the media about Latinos, and like we're not all rapists and we're not all gang members, you know, and it's like it's highlighting the beauty
Y
that comes
más en Los
behind it.
Ángeles, y también pues más en Los Ángeles, que también,
Y
que
más en
yo,
Los Ángeles.
que es como que yo crecí que en Los Ángeles son puras pandillas y son,
Yeah.
sí, como en las películas que todos dicen East Los Angeles, ya es South Central, todos esos barrios que son, pues,
Y de ahí somos nosotras, you know?
yeah, he conocido de las, pues, ustedes que, like you guys, Melissa, like Cynthia, and all you guys, like are all from those neighborhoods, and it's just like, it's only.
See, you're gonna find like pandillas anywhere, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero sí, es como yo también empecé a preguntar porque miraba como pues también, como dijiste, Irma, que los mismos latinos o los mismos mexicanos tenemos como una mentalidad de, ¿cómo se dice? Scarcity. Y que si a una persona le está yendo bien, lo tenemos que como atraer para atrás para que no nos deje atrás a unos. Y estaba mirando como todo el hate que le estaba tirando mucha gente a la serie de Selena cuando salió.
Oh, yeah.
Está mirando como, porque yo no lo conozco, pero yo tengo amigos que conocen a personas que, actually, el agent que salió en la serie, tuvimos una serie de fotos con él. Jasmine hizo unas fotos con él.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
super random. Like, oh yeah, we did with Eric. And I was like, oh, holy crap. Like, congratulations for him. So it was really exciting to see him like get that. So it's just like, yo siempre he sido una persona que me gusta celebrar los éxitos de otras personas, que si le está yendo bien a alguien, pues, a mí no estamos en la misma cosa o directamente compitiendo, pues que le vaya bien, porque es entre más bien le vayan a la gente alrededor de ti, más bien te va a ir a ti. So, creo que esa como, no sé, ¿ustedes sí miraron la serie de Selena?
Yeah. Y así la miramos. Y entendemos lo que estás diciendo, que mucha gente la estaba criticando porque, bueno, pues depende. Había gente que decía que, ay, tenía que estar más en español, pero mucha gente no se acuerda que Selena no hablaba español. Ella aprendió español y para cantar, you know. Lo único que nosotros criticamos fueron the wigs.
El pelucas,
Las pelucas.
Eso sí se los paso. Tiene más validez.
Ya dijimos, las pelucas, Billy, no le podían poner tantito más dinero para que no se vean tan chapas.
Yeah.
Y tengo tanto amor para la primera movie de J-Lo, so it's kind of hard to like, you know, it's not, you can't compare it because it's two different things, but I think that was also, it's like I had that, like that one's so good, you know, it's just
sí, eso es lo que también eso, the biggest difference was that todos tenemos como esa conexión a la primera película, aunque mucha gente, yo creo que, como dice, que se murió muy joven, se hicieron fans por la película.
That's true.
Mucha gente, te lo juro que si le preguntas a una persona que le gusta Selena, que es mexicana, te va a decir, oh yeah, I love Selena, I love Selena. I'm like, cool, name 10 songs of hers. You'll get 4 songs that are in the movie, and that's it. Like literally, they are like top 4 hits or whatever, and then all the other ones that she got like actually was able to build up. People were like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, because you're not a real fan. Like, so you can't really criticize. So it was like really interesting seeing like people kind of tear it down a little bit, and then like, but when you actually see like, porque no estaba más en español, creo que también tiene que pensar, uno tiene que pensar que Netflix es la plataforma más grande de contenido que tenemos, y que no todas las personas son mexicanas que hablan español van a mirarla. So they have to make it like as broad as possible.
Yeah.
To try to get like as many fans to watch the show.
Right. But like what Irma said, she didn't know that much Spanish. So I feel like it was true to her nature at some point, right? To a certain degree.
Yeah, I went into it expecting them like, okay, let's see what they do with it. Never like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Like most of the shows are never going to be like what you expect them to be, but like, especially something like as hyped up.
Yeah, it's true.
As her character and as her like with like J-Lo being like the representation of her, and it's just like that's.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Is that a lot of people had J-Lo was a standard, and like you're not gonna get J-Lo again, you know? No. Like it's a new Selena. It's a 2020 Selena.
Get into it.
1990 whatever Selena.
Yeah.
I was just disappointed that they didn't put the Cholo scene in there, the Selinas.
Oh my God!
I know anything for Selinas. I mean,
that would have been
probably gonna be a second season, so it might still be in there.
I hope.
Oh, really?
I'm sure they are because they didn't finish. Like they
didn't finish. Thank you. That's what I was saying. We were
which is like supposed to. It's I'm like, yeah, you want these people to make more money. It's all about money. Like literally, they have to leave it open ended, unless it's like because it'd be way too difficult to fit it into like a 10-part series and like everything's an hour and it's just like it'd be really difficult.
Yeah, porque yo le estaba diciendo a Trinny, yo dije, no me gustó tanto the ending, and she's like, pues se murió, and I'm like, no, la ending de Netflix, no de la movie. Oh my God. ¿A quién le va a gustar que se murió? And I'm like, well,
like we already know how this ends. Like
I know.
I was like, Irma, we already know how it's gonna end.
You can go to Google and be like, how did she die? I'm like, this is what happened. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I liked it. It was fine. It was like not the worst, not the best. Like, but I still think like it's a show about like the Mexican American experience when you're literally. It's hard because it's like you're too Mexican to be a super like full American, but you're never gonna be all the way Mexican to be Mexican, and it's just kind of like that limbo that we kind of all have to balance and see how we can navigate our lovely system that we have going on. But you just kind of have to be nice to everybody and accept people. And I don't know. I think people get too tied up in their title of whatever they want to be. But that's just me. I also grew up in like a very like rural area where it was like went from a super mostly white neighborhoods, like country, small town, and then like these like Mexican American kids that were like they were American, but they were so Mexican, but they were mostly American. So
and I think that's when it comes into play, and it's like it's important where us as a generation where we're still connected to our Latin roots, but we are also here embracing our American roots, right? And we're like combining the two. And I think that's where it is. It's like you're kind of creating your own identity aside from both, but still letting people know, like, I am both, you know?
Yeah, you can't just people can be multiple things at once. So it's like that's what most people don't have a hard time trying to justify or figure out.
Ya, hasta a mí me pasó que cuando yo llegué a México, tenía primos que me decían, si hablas español, te van a agarrar la oficial, te vas a ir a la cárcel. Si te escuchan hablar, hablar en inglés. And I'm like, what? Y yo se lo creía, right?
She would be like, what?
So mean. Porque no les gustaba cuando hablaba inglés porque no le entendían.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could teach you.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll figure out our identity soon enough, hopefully. But yeah, like we're thinking about for like our kids and stuff, and like, are they gonna be like whatever Ruiz Bushburger, or like they're like, it's gonna be super interesting because like our kids are gonna be like the whitest kids in the world. Like they're gonna be so pale. So
your kids are gonna be like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'll literally, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like these kids that are gonna have to like navigate. It's if it's complicated for us, like I think like Irma kind of pointed this out too. Like there's a difference between like the light skinned Mexicans and like the darker skinned Mexicans, and you do have like these prejudices that happen in Mexico with like people that are darker, lighter, and like it's, I don't know, it's like the whole like white passing, and I'm like, I guess I'm white passing, but like I didn't really choose to be.
Yeah, I'm a white Tina.
Yeah.
But
oh my gosh.
I can't do
I
anything.
can only imagine how it feels. Yeah, I can only imagine how it feels for you guys because you guys are full Mexican, you know. So I'm half, so I have like an excuse, you know. So it's like,
it's my dad's fault.
Like really, I'm really like Mexican. I'm full Mexican, you know. So I can only imagine how you guys like navigate through that because I like, even though my mom comes from Jalisco, which is already like a white passing, I would say, like, so it didn't help.
No, sí, hay mucha gente en esas áreas como de Jalisco, de Zacatecas, que son bastante güeros, como yo no sabía eso, que en la guerra española, maybe, fue cuando mucha gente de Ireland, se fue a México y llegó a Jalisco.
Really?
Hay tanto güero con ojo azul.
And that's why we get so many redheads. That's why we get
wow.
So like
Canelo.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, like my beard.
Yeah.
It gets like, it's like it gets like.
I was like, did you dye it?
It's short. It's not long enough to get red yet. But yeah, it's like se mira bien como roja. Tengo tíos, mi sobrina es pelirroja y tenemos como una familia bastante güera porque somos de Jalisco. Estamos a 3 horas. Estamos en esa zona. Que también hay diferentes partes de México que son como la gente que está más para las costas de Veracruz, son bastante morenos porque es playa, es donde había un poco más como esos barcos de esclavos que se juntaron ahí. Y ahí es donde la identidad de los afroamericanos han surgido un poco y que son otra historia completamente diferente, porque yo me acuerdo que sí hay como ese mismo racismo entre nosotros mismos que en la gente que es un poquito más diferente, pero
but I do think it's important for us as white passing Latinos and Latinas to bring and to bring to light more of the darker complexion ones, because you know the media does highlight a bunch of like light-skinned Latinos, so I understand the animosity towards it, and I think it is important for us to highlight them more.
I completely agree. So, otro tema que quería hablar con ustedes es como este tema de la salud mental, que creo que los latinos hasta muy recientemente hemos podido y hemos como tomado como este problema muy serio, como algo que tenemos que tomar en serio. Pues yo creo que es algo que es cultural porque somos una gente muy orgullosa que hasta muy recientemente, pues yo creo que en esos mismos problemas que tenemos, la mentalidad que tenemos que hacer todos nosotros mismos, el buscar ayuda para problemas de nuestra salud mental no ha sido fácil, no ha sido como nuestra priority, yo diría. Que yo estoy mirando entre más y más como la gente en México también está moviéndose en ese lugar, que yo creo que la gente americana ya ha tenido un poco más de tiempo como para poder procesar esos problemas. ¿Cómo, qué han hecho o qué problemas o cómo han ustedes handled like mental health issues, or if you have had any, like what you would recommend, or just anything that would like kind of shed a little bit of light of what like you've experienced yourselves?
Yeah. So this subject is actually really close to my heart, especially because of my little brother. So I don't know, Irma, how about you?
Oh,
yeah, I'll go.
I thought you were gonna go into a story or
I will.
something.
I need to get myself together.
No, también igual. I think that both Trini and I have experienced mental health within our family on a first-hand basis, and we've seen how important it is to educate. Sometimes you have to educate the older generation and let them know that it's okay, right? Es muy importante para nosotras. Yo personalmente, I have gone to therapy porque yo supe que no me estaba sintiendo bien, I'm like, no me siento bien, pero yo tuve que tomar ese primer paso para encontrar ayuda para mí misma. Y muchas veces, sí, puedes hablar con un amigo o una amiga, pero a veces it's beyond that, right? Necesitas ver a alguien y aceptar que no es nada malo, no es tabú, no es porque no seas fuerte, es porque nada más es un problema que no vas a poder resolver tú sola, and it's sometimes they're just going to provide you with tools to even realize there's a lot of people out there that don't even realize that they have underlying issues that come from family trauma, right? That
Pues
it's like
que hablar con un psiquiatra, con un psicólogo, que pues, son profesionales, se han dedicado a crear y to master these tools, que son herramientas que ellos han usado para mirar los problemas de uno y tratar de ayudarle. Cuando que te está pasando esto, pues usar ABC, o puedes usar estos métodos para tratar de controlar o de to figure out, to navigate. Es porque creo que una cosa que yo he estado mirando, porque, ¿cómo se puede decir? I think that it's interesting in the fact that it's since we're first generation, we see that our parents literally came here literally with nothing, and it's like they didn't have time. I always think that it's they didn't have time to be like, I have shit going on. Like, no, like if I don't do something, my family's not gonna eat. My family's not gonna do this. I need to sacrifice every single moment. And then now, because I think within a very, very short period of time, even though we're still like struggling, like Latinos are still underpaid and all these different situations, we've essentially not eliminated, but we've reduced the amount of people aren't hungry. I always have an argument people, even you're poor, you're not really hungry anymore.
Unas frijoles y unas tortillas está bien para la semana.
Yeah. Siempre hay frijoles de la olla.
Hay comida en la casa.
Hay comida en la casa.
Y ya que no tenemos esos problemas, están surgiendo esos problemas mentales que realmente ellos no saben cómo o qué está pasando con ellos, que ellos piensan que a lo mejor algo está mal, y que de verdad, pues hablando con un profesional es para que te ayude a tratar bueno, no de controlar, pero de entender, that's the word, de entender lo que está pasando.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, the way I see it is you go to the doctor to treat diabetes, right? And you go and you take care of yourself, and you have to do these things in order to remain healthy. Why don't you do the same thing for your mind? That, your mental health is just as important as your actual health, and not your actual health, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? So I think if we took out the stigma and talked about it more. Like, you know, we won't say, oh my God, you're doing an insulin shot. Like, why? You know, instead of like,
porque me voy a
I
morir,
know.
mamá. Si no me muero.
Yeah.
Hey, porque quiero comer. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think piggybacking off of like what you were saying, Katerina, it's like I think are the older because we're like millennials, right? So we're the generation that came after our parents. So it's like it was our parents and they didn't have time to stop and think about their feelings. They were like, I don't got time to be feeling sad
Living
and depressed. Like I need to have a family to feed, right? And then for us, we're like this generation where we're self-taught. We had to like teach ourselves how to have a good relationship with money. We had to teach ourselves how to deal with our emotions. And then the generation after us, which is like our younger siblings, they're the ones that have a better understanding, even from us, that like, you know what? Yeah, I don't feel good. And sometimes it's okay not to feel good. And it's okay for me not to cry. Because I find myself so struggling with that and being able to put my full emotions out on the line because I'm like, I can't be doing that. Like, I'm going to look weak. Like, that's not healthy. And it's just like generational traumas that we're like breaking along the way. But the important part is that we are making an effort to break them, you know?
Yeah.
I agree that it's like we just have to be just the whole stigma, porque yo creo que uno de los problemas que se relaciona un poco es porque tenemos esta we have this concern of like what people are going to say, qué va a decir la gente, que yo sé que a mi familia no les gusta que digamos eso, porque yo y mi hermano siempre como, ¿qué va a decir la gente? Que digan lo que digan, a nosotros no nos importa realmente, porque no, entre que no nos mantengan, entre que yo no tenga que depender o de que no me paguen algo, I'm like, I don't care what they think, so que digan lo que digan, porque si en este tema de la salud, o mental health, en veces son las mismas personas que están hablando mal, también tienen los mismos problemas. Es nomás que ellos a lo mejor no tienen la fuerza o no, como no se mira mucho, pues también es más fácil apuntar el dedo que aceptar la ayuda pues que realmente la mayoría de la gente, pues todos tenemos problemas y todos tenemos que tratar de ayudarnos y de entender de que, oh no, pues esta persona está buscando ayuda, pues ayúdenle o dirígenla en esa área que puedan ayudarle para que quitar ese estigma que creo que nos está lastimando mucho y que pues, necesitamos que nosotros como nuestra generación puede ayudar mucho a nuestros papás, a los familiares que ya que son un poquito más grandes con esos estigmas que creo que poco a poco están quitándose, pero muy despacio.
Ya, y como estabas diciendo, muchas veces la gente que le está echando la burla o diciendo cualquier cosa es porque ellos mismos tienen los problemas, pero no lo pueden ver o no lo quieren ver o piensan que no les va a pasar algo así o se sienten de esa manera porque están enojados por cualquier otra cosa.
Yeah. Trini, did you want to share your? I don't know the story, so if you don't want to share, it's up to you. We said with your little brother or brother.
Yeah. So he's been around like 17, 18, you know, started acting weird. You know, he wasn't his normal self. So by the time like 19, 18 goes, he was telling us, you know, he was hearing voices and you know, stuff like that. So when my mom typically, she like he's like on drugs, you know, like he must be on drugs. It's the only thing that makes sense is that he's on drugs. So the beginning of 2020, he went through this major depression. Like he wasn't talking to anybody. He kind of just he shut down. Like we didn't know what was happening. He didn't take showers, and you know that was really big for him out of character because he was always the type of person to like every day literally take showers, right? So after talking with my mom, she finally she was like, I can't see him go through this anymore. So she made the really big decision in calling a ¿cómo se dice, Irma? How do you call those people? No, it was like
interventionist. Is that the name?
No, like it was for mental hospital.
Oh, okay.
Psychiatrist.
So got him submitted, and he was in there for about 2 weeks, and it turns out he has schizophrenia. So you know, the major shock, my mom didn't even know what that was. Like, she was, you know, she's old school Mexican. In her days, like, people that talk to voices, they're on drugs, they're crazy, you know?
Yeah.
They, you know, so we got informed, and we started to you know, look into therapy and stuff, and now I'm proud to say that he's on his meds and he's doing great.
So, para los que no saben, la esquizofrenia, es una condición que donde las personas, como lo tengo entendido, empiezan a escuchar como son los mismos, como si se it's not different, it's like different personalities within themselves that they hear as voices, right? Or like different
how
did you guys understand it, or how was it explained to you guys?
Well, for him, it was like he doesn't hear them all the time. It's like really random. But like, yeah, I think it's within his own I don't know how it works, honestly.
Like different characteristics that like in levels of schizophrenia, but I think for some of them, it's like, yeah, people start to hear voices. A lot of the times, like, people think it's like God or the devil talking to them, or they get paranoid and they start to think that like the government is after them, right? So then that's when people like revert and board up their windows and everything. So it's a very like I would say like paranoid mental illness, right? Because you feel like people are against you or people are talking about you.
So he didn't have it to the point where it was for him, they called it stage 1, and it was mainly when he started, that's when he shut down, and that he was not like at this point he wasn't hearing voices anymore, but he just completely was outside of himself. Like, you couldn't, like, he would just be sitting there, you know. So there's different stages of it. It's not treatable. I mean, it's nothing that can go away. It can't go away. It's there for life, so you have to treat it for life. But if with the right medication and the right therapies, you can go on and live a normal life.
So he has been. You said that he like recently he has been like successfully on his medication, and it appears to be like helping a lot or a little bit.
Yeah, he's like back to his old like goofy self, you know, like to the person that I knew before everything happened. So he's taking it very serious, and I think that was the biggest step, is that they have to want help. And once you realize it, because he didn't want to feel that way anymore, right? So yeah, my mom played a big role in it. She like accepted it because she like you said, like you mentioned, what are people going to say about my son? You know, like, what are they going to say about him? Like, ¿qué va a decir la gente? And she was just like, I don't care anymore. My son comes first.
¿Y como cuánto tiempo crees que que tomó para que tu mamá quitara ese pensamiento de qué va a decir la gente, a que pues realmente pues su familia es lo que importa más, y que su hijo es algo importante, que aunque tenga una enfermedad que sea pues bastante seria, que pues, yo creo crecí como cuando vas a México que dicen que esta persona se volvió loca, o esta persona diferentes cosas que es como de brujería, o de como pues, como somos también otra cultura que somos muy aferrados como pues como, how do you say it? Like pues brujería. El huevo,
una limpia.
All that stuff. Que a veces son cosas así. So I'm gonna like keep on asking stuff about like your brother, and if you don't want to talk about it, like it's perfectly fine. Because I think it's really it's very helpful that your mom went from like literally kind of like brushing it off a little bit.
Yeah, she did. She did brush it off, because let me give you like a little backstory. Because my brother was always troubled. You know, he was like, we lived in LA, like you said, about like gangs or whatever. Like, he was never in a gang, but he liked to be like, he looked like a little cholo. You know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't like my mom wasn't if it was drugs. He wasn't, I don't know. But she was like, okay, maybe it is drugs, you know, because of the people he hung out with.
Es muy fácil, yo creo que en estas ciudades grandes donde pues, realmente los muchachos van a hacer sus cosas de jóvenes y que pues desafortunadamente empiecen a experimentar un poco con drogas y puedes tener como ese mismo efecto y
Yeah, porque sí tienen el mismo efecto. Los drogas de, let's say, crack, heroin, like those have like similar symptoms of so it's easy to confuse them. And I think that's a lot of the times the problems with people on the streets is because we can't identify whether they have a mental illness or are they just a drug addict, you know? But a lot of the times people are taking drugs to handle their mental illness. So it's like an endless cycle that it's like, you know, if we spoke more about it, maybe people wouldn't have to resort to other methods of dealing with their mental health.
And being that we're in 2021, right? And this is, I'd say maybe within the last 3 years, this is like when it's become such a big conversation amongst like, yeah, the Latino community, but every community across the board, right? Because how many mental hospitals here in LA have been closed and like their residents have been thrown out onto the streets. And that's why there's so many homeless people. And everybody's like, oh man, all these homeless are so annoying. But a lot of them needed help. A lot of them are even veterans that have PTSD, you know?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
your muffler could go out a little more than it does in a normal morning and they'll think they're getting bombed, you know? And it's like, it's a lot of these like mental health issues that just aren't being addressed because the city says they're too expensive. These hospitals are too expensive to keep open, but we're just discarding of these people like they're nothing.
Yeah. I would definitely say that, like Irma was mentioning about 2020 and like having more time. At this time, my mom was working 6 days a week, right? Every day. So before the pandemic, she didn't have time, really. She really didn't have time. And like, this is how it's been all of our lives. So this was kind of like a blessing because she finally had the time to sit with him and be like, oh yeah, something's not right. You know, like something, you want help, but you don't know how to say help. So I'm going to do that for you. So I think that was kind of the blessing came through all this.
So I'm glad that you guys you guys kind of figured that out a little bit, that it didn't go, that you guys caught it early enough to where it seems like it's getting managed to the point where he's getting back to normal, which is really good. And like, again, like, yeah, like our homeless population here in LA, it's like, I would say a big chunk of it is going to be like a big, like I've always feel like when people say that we have a homeless problem, I'm like, I don't think we have a homeless problem. I think we have a mental health crisis.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
If you figure that out, I think like a lot of the homeless stuff would kind of like, it won't go away, but it's going to like get a little bit better. It's like nobody's like choosing
because even when my brother, when he was hospitalized, they called my mom and they said, you know, he doesn't need to come home with you. Like, if you don't want him to come home with you, like, we can drop him off basically where the Skid Road is, where the it's like what do they call it? A halfway house, I think they call it. Yeah. It's where, you know, you stay for 3 days or a couple of days before, and then they kick you out. So, yeah. So, you know, I think a lot of the times, like, my brother's lucky enough to have family, but I think a lot of the times people don't have family. And once they're hospitalized, they do get sent there. And, you know, I can't blame them. Our resources are limited. There's only amount of time, like, they can only stay there for 3 days, and then where else do they go? So I think you're right. Like, if we have a mental health problem versus a homeless problem, I mean, it doesn't help that the rent is like super crazy high, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking. I'm like, last time I heard, I don't think crack or heroin is that cheap. So
yeah, that's true.
There's other forms of payment when you're on the street, though.
Right? Yeah. Oh my god. But no, yeah, that's like scary, but I'm glad that you guys kind of were able to manage that, and that you had the time. And like, again, like, this is one of those things that like people are always like, oh, 2020 was like so shitty. And I'm like, but there's a lot of people that are like kind of finding like the silver lining to this weird year that we're having, like, especially like a lot of people are spending way more time with their family that they wouldn't do. Like, people are working 40-50 hours a week, and like they get home, they're like making food, take a shower, go to bed, and repeat the cycle. And it's just like, it's like one of those blessings that you like would never have seen coming. When they're like, oh, I'm gonna shut down everything, everybody stay at the house. Like,
yeah,
so
it's true. And even right now talking about it, I feel still kind of weird. This is my first time even saying it outside of Irma. So it's like,
no, thank you for sharing. Like, I feel like that's like really important.
I feel kind of weird, but I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for, I really appreciate like you opening up and like sharing that with us. Like that's, digo, es algo que en la comunidad de nosotros sería muy fácil decir, oh, no, pues ya está malito, está, como este término de está malito, tiene un estigma que cubre muchísimas enfermedades porque como en los ranchos, como yo crecí pues, viendo las familias que dicen, oh, este muchacho está malito, o este muchacho está malita, o whatever, porque no saben lo que es, no tienen los recursos que necesitan para tener ese diagnóstico que se requiere para buscar la ayuda que se necesita, porque sí, yo conozco mucha gente que dicen, no, pues fulano está malito, tiene esta malita y quizás como los they discard them and it's kind of like on their own and it's crazy that was an option that they gave you guys, like that they'll take them like, and I'm sure like if it would be more advanced and it's like something that you guys can't handle or like.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was mainly like they were saying like you don't have to take the burden on. I think that's what they were trying to say, But my mom was like, well, that's my son. Like I can't leave him, Like if you think you're gonna help him, then I would rather stick it out and try to help him.
Thankfully you guys had the like some resources to like not have to deal with it. Like
definitely.
I can see that going completely south and like a single mom and like one of their like has like family and like one of their kids has this condition and it's like it could very easily be much easier for them to be like, yeah, take them off my hands, like especially if they're a lot. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely takes the other individual to want help. That helps a lot. Like, I think allowing yourself to realize you need help and that it's okay and that you're not weird and you can, express yourself how you feel and like without judgment. I think that's helpful because if this couldn't have happened if he didn't want help,
Yeah, it's definitely like we're in that time where asking for help is getting a little bit easier, I think, for some people. So we're getting there slowly and surely. Yeah.
Y realizando también que hay gente que lo puede hacer sola y hay gente que no lo puede hacer sola.
Yeah.
And a veces gente nada más dicen, ay no, es muy difícil, and that's when they walk away, and they like leave this person to fend for themselves. But it's really like, I think on a personal basis.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, like for me, I went through a depression, and for me, I was able to find help by myself, but it took me a really long time. Like, para aceptar que tenía depresión y que no me sentía bien. Y la única persona que sabía era Triny. That's it. Era Triny y hasta eso, ella, yo ni me acuerdo si le dije, ella nada más supo que lo tenía. Ella iba a mi casa y me decía, okay, girl, like, no vas a estar sola.
Yeah. But when you're going through it, like, there's really not much someone, that someone could do. You have to, like you said.
Yeah. Y es lo que estaba diciendo, que yo no agarré ayuda hasta que yo supe que lo necesitaba. Because ya no estaba durmiendo, ya no estaba comiendo, estaba perdiendo de peso, and it was just like, okay, voy a seguir así, me voy a morir, or like, voy a agarrar ayuda. And it was because estaba yendo al colegio y había un poster que decía, ¿te sientes mal or whatever? Y lo vi, and I don't know, ese día nada más
lo
dije,
seguías viendo el mismo poster en cada parte. Como,
era bien movie, lo vi, and I was like, I'm gonna call today.
Y lo empieza a moverse. Like, Irma, do you need help?
Yeah.
Like, I do need help. So that's good. And you started talking to like a psychiatrist or psychologist about that, or did you just like kind of get like?
Yeah. So fui a la escuela y luego, lo bueno es que aquí en los colegios, you get free therapy. Si eres un estudiante, a full-time student. So así lo agarré por el colegio y empecé a verla y a hablar con ella y me dijo, si me ves en la calle y no me quieres decir hola, está bien, like, esto es entre tú y yo. La vi como por unos cuantos meses y me ayudó mucho porque se había llegado a al lugar donde ni podía ir a algunas tiendas o lugares porque me daba ansias, you know? It was like depression and anxiety that I was I was dealing with. And I couldn't even go to like certain places because it was just like, it would give me anxiety and I would like break down. And, but it wasn't till I like was tired of feeling that way and just tired of like being drained. Like the thing is, like I always tell Trini, I'm like, I can think back to that time in my life, but it was like one long day. Like I have no memory of like what happened, you know, like because it was just one long day. Like it was on repeat, and I can't say like anything important or eventful that would have happened throughout that year because it was just
That's
the same long ass day.
Like you
know,
weren't really there.
It's funny that you mentioned that because once my brother started getting better, we were watching. I think we were watching some. I don't know, but a commercial came out and Kobe came out, right? And he's like, "Kobe died," and I was like, "What?" Like this was just the other day, and I was like, "Where were you?" Like we were watching the news together when Kobe like passed away. He's like, "I didn't know Kobe died." Like, and it was like he was in shock, and I was like, "Well." So clearly he wasn't there when he but he was there.
Yo vi un post y alguien estaba diciendo, okay, like nadie habla de the memory loss.
Yeah.
When you like go through like a depression or anxiety or like an episode in your life like your brother was going through, like nobody talks about the memory loss, right? How like because you're not present. Yeah. Because you're not like for me personally, like I wasn't sleeping. So I was literally on autopilot. So I was awake and I looked awake. I still went to work every single day and I functioned just fine. But like I was just on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, a side effect that people don't talk about because it's not talked about that, like you said, like you didn't know, right? That this is what people have to deal with after. And I mean, it kind of sucks because it's like, damn, there's a whole, like, I know I did stuff in my life. Like, I know, but like, I don't know what I did. And Trini's always reminding me, she'll be like, girl, you were there. And I'm like, huh. Okay.
I'm like, news to me.
Yeah.
You could be like, have done something all messed up. Like, really? I was there. Like, oh shit. Like, I did what?
Desafortunadamente era porque, I mean, mi mamá me hacía sentir que sí podía hablar con ella, pero desafortunadamente porque no se hablaba mucho de las emociones en mi familia, it was like, I know you're there, but I wasn't ready to be open.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And it's that on top of not knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that like not knowing, like since you don't share those feelings, y no es algo que es como muy natural para, si no eres una persona como muy habladora o que no es, para comunicarte es bastante difícil, y más en nuestra cultura que pues no, yeah, it's just not something that we do, and it's like not knowing how to, even though like you're like, oh, like I'm always there for you, you can talk to me like literally I don't know how to do this, like I don't know how these things work, which is crazy to think about, that it's like something as simple as like just literally not knowing that you could just talk about it, or because it literally, when people that don't think about depression, I've never had depression really, like I've gotten like super stressed about like just like money and financial stuff and taking care of my family, being like the oldest male in my family, and kind of like seeing how I need to take care of certain things and not being able to, and it's just like super frustrating, and like that really like like I've never had anxiety until like probably like a year or two ago.
Oh wow.
And it's just like, and what's helped me is like I feel like even when I was working with you guys, like I was always like pretty like active and like always working out, and like I would always talk about working out and stuff, and like that's like such a lifesaver for me. But it's just like, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like navigating like the depression feel. Like people in my family have like recently just talked about their feelings and stuff, and like I've been pretty with my nieces and nephews, and like trying to like help them navigate some of the stuff that they really can't talk to their parents about, because like their parents are older than me by a lot, so it's like there's a huge age gap in their upbringing, so it's like we're trying to be like the middle people in that, and kind of help them navigate their feelings and their emotions as first generations over here.
That's perfect. They're going to grow up and be, able to vocalize it. So I think you're starting the mold.
I hope so.
Yeah, they're going to have like a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Más vale.
Más vale.
Yeah. So the last topic that I want to talk to you guys about, something that's interesting to me, just because I've always I don't know, I've always recognized it and like seeing like the biases that we have. Es esta cultura que tenemos, pues, como yo diría, si para aceptar una cultura tienes que aceptar todas las partes de la cultura. Y pues la cultura mexicana es una cultura que hasta muy reciente es una cultura basada pues en el machismo, en que el hombre es el proveedor pues, la disciplina. Y dependiendo de cómo, pues, como se puede decir, hasta muy poquito, pues es como eran las cosas y que no se tienen que quedar las cosas así, ¿no? Y uno como hombre, pues yo he trabajado pues, con muchas personas como, yo me acuerdo, cuando estábamos trabajando, ¿cómo se dice? Las personas que eran mis supervisors siempre han sido como mujeres como muy inteligentes, muy poderosas, como super smart, powerful, authority. And I was like super admiring, especially in our place of work. And it was, lo que me decían era, pues, es para aprender. Yo nunca he pensado que sé más que una persona. Pero yo me acuerdo en mi rol, estaba entrenando a una persona que era mayor, que era hombre, que nuestra patrona, pues era patrona, le decía cosas y el muchacho, señor, como que no le hacía caso a ella. I don't know if you guys remember this guy.
I think I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
Say his name. Say his name.
He lives out here in the valley, so no. Me encuentra. Pero eso como se miraba que era como la diferencia en cómo él miraba las cosas y como yo miraba y cómo trabajamos con esas personas que pues son nuestros jefes y son personas que han dedicado sus vidas a entender lo que están trabajando y sí, cómo han, I don't know, how like, what's your experience? What's like your comments? What do you wish you see less? Wish you see more to like help this machismo to like kind of like go away? And
yeah.
And maybe I'll try to make some arguments in favor of it if I can.
Good advocate here.
I think just like with the mental health conversation that we were just having, like machismo kind of falls in line with it, where it's really chains that are being broken generation to generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those sayings, like te calmas o te calmo, la mujer es para quedarse en la casa y limpiar.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found myself personally having to like correct that kind of behavior within my family and be like, oh, no sabes cómo cocinar, or te deberías de quedar en la casa, or ¿por qué no estás arreglando el plato tú? And I'm like, what? Like, you have two working hands. Like, I don't mind like hosting you, but I'm not gonna cater to you.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I've been fortunate enough where I've seen the evolution within my family because we've taken the time to like educate our older generation and be like, look, okay, no, that's not okay. Like, no le puedes hablar a la gente así, no le puedes decir que ella te tiene que servir a ti, or no puede hacer nada para sí misma. Like, las mujeres van a ir a la escuela, pueden estudiar y pueden hacer lo que ellas quieren también. Y like right now we have a glass ceiling, right? Where the issue is that even Latina women, like, they get paid less than everybody else, like any other POC. So I think it's like machismo dealing with machismo within our community and dealing with it outside of our community too. I got kind of sidetracked, my bad.
Yeah. I think like
she got mad. She just started studying red. She's like,
yeah, she's like, what are they talking about again? Yeah, but I think like artists like Bad Bunny is really like, breaking the gender molds. Yeah, and like I think we need more people like him, where it's like, yeah, I paint my fingernails. What does that make me? Like that has nothing to do with like how much of a man I am, you know, and just highlighting all the, you know, he really you know, his song Yo Perreo Sola, you know, like that
and
song
he dressed up as a girl.
as a girl, you know, like that was like, woo. Like, yeah, like girls just want to dance by themselves sometimes and leave them alone. Like that doesn't mean it's an invitation for you to dance on them. So I think more voices like that is really helping the Latino community. I think, you know, an influencer talking about it more, you know, unfortunately, like it's relatable and they see, oh, this cool guy is talking about it. Like maybe I should start listening more. So I think that was cool.
Oh yeah, I see like the difference between, I don't know. The only issue is like I don't like the celebrity thing of him. And I'm like, because he's still an entertainer, but it's cool that he's like
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Because I could lose Wi-Fi right now.
Actually, I don't know. Like, I'm like I don't mind. I guess like because I'm not the biggest fan. I'm like I listen to his music, but I'm not like a super fan.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's a lot of guys that don't like him, though.
But not like
go on the argument, yeah.
But not because of like, I just don't like the music. Not because of his person. I think it's super cool. Like
that's what they all say.
Like that, like the Perresola song, or like all of his songs are like they're good songs. They're like they are giving a different perspective, like being super comfortable with like painting your nails or doing like doing these like wearing, because I know like what's his name, Anuel and
I don't like him.
Oh, fuck, what's the other guy's name? He did a song with 6ix9ine.
Another problematic fellow.
Another problematic Mexican.
No, he is the
problematic.
6ix9ine. He's a whole lot of fun. He's hilariously a troll.
He's a whole hot mess.
Yeah.
That's the rata de dos patas.
Rata inunda.
But what do you mean by like celebrity of it?
Huh? Oh no. I don't like when celebrities try to like. This is like weird.
Like go into politics or something like that.
Kind of like politics because they're super. It's ungenuine.
Oh.
But his is kind of seems more genuine than all the other ones, I guess. Like because he's making songs that are like a little bit more progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like isn't he the one that had like the song?
They're gonna drag.
Mama el culo.
Yeah.
No mame, like he won a fucking won like a Grammy for that for best writer.
That's not his fault. It's the audience's fault, right?
I guess, yeah, right. Granted, it was hilarious. I thought that
but I think it's important because like a lot of people do look up to celebrities. Like your dad, I could be telling like someone like, oh, don't treat people this way, but someone that you like admire is saying it as well. Like I feel like it does play a big part in like pop culture in your society. I feel like if they're advocating stuff. Oh,
and I think like people are always so like people are always rallying and saying like when somebody gets to like a stature, right, that you should use your voice for the better. And then when somebody does, like they'll get dragged. So
they're
struggle.
Like, they'll say, stick to music. Like don't be
trying to find that balance of like I love like que Cardi B se hizo como la spokesperson for Bernie Sanders.
But like then that's the thing, like a lot of young people got interested in politics, right?
Yeah, and it's like literally, or like people were in like the coronavirus. Oh my god!
Coronavirus. But she did tweet. She did tweet something like that I thought was true. So the person was like, like stick to rapping, don't go into politics. She was like, before anything else, I'm a citizen. Before anything else, I'm a person. I still have views.
I like her better than Bad Bunny just because like I guess granted, just because I've seen like Cardi B's transition like through like her whole celebrity, and it's like, oh, she's just Cardi B. It's like
that's true. She hasn't changed at all.
Exact same person.
Yeah.
The fact that she's like saying all this stuff is like it's actually like more genuine. I guess like not so much for like Bad Bunny, but I'm saying like when like the LeBrons or like these bigger brands like say stuff and it's just like it's not really real because it's like they're only worried about their pockets.
Yeah, I feel you. It's hard to distinguish.
We've digressed to the machismo, but I
We did, my bad.
So what would your opinion be? Like, how would you say we should tackle machismo?
I've done the exact same thing that you've said before, educating your family, porque como yo, pues, ¿sabes la canción que dice, yo soy de rancho? Like, literally, that's where I grew up. Like, that's my Mexico. Like, yo soy de un ranchito, like, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people. Todos se conocen y las tradiciones mexicanas, pues, son que las mujeres sirven a los señores. Y yo tengo familia que yo he mirado, o yo les he dicho, levántate, güey, tienes patas. I'm like, you're literally like 2 feet away from the fridge, you're 2 feet away from the stove. I'm like, just get up and get it. I'm like, so like literally educating people. I'm like, but now we don't do that anymore. So like definitely educating and just like being as a man too, is just being like accepting that, like, if I'm gonna get called out for something, and we're like, oh shit, like maybe I wasn't like, I had another podcast with one of my friends, and we were talking about machismo a little bit, and like some of like the male things that we do, and like the mansplaining and like cutting people off and stuff. And like I was watching the podcast, I'm like, oh no, I'm like, I was cutting her off a shit ton. I'm like, I didn't let her speak that much, not because I didn't want her to speak. It was just like I just would like carry on the conversation. I was just like, damn it, I was like literally talking about machismo, and I'm like, except like
I'm talking about machismo, like, and I am doing machismo.
I'm literally cutting her off. I'm like, ya valió, María, me van a decir. I'm like, pero fue como enseñar a las personas y también de saber que a lo mejor algo está mal, al que tenemos que aprender, y de tener como esa comunicación abierta de que, hey, esto no está bien, estuviera más bien si haces esto. Porque en veces creo que eso es donde mucha gente se pone como muy defensiva de las cosas, que nomás es, no, eso está mal, that's bad, don't do that. Well, then, like, as dumb as it sounds, like, men are pretty fucking dumb. Like, we're pretty basic. Like, you have to, like, I would say like something that would help would be not help, but like even giving like no hagas esto, haz esto, o como darle, poner
alternativa.
Sí, la alternativa, o dar un ejemplo de, hey, we don't do this anymore, do this, or like it's better if you don't do that. Like,
I just educate them, because if you're just saying don't do that, they're gonna be like, well, why not? You know, like if you explaining things, and then it's like gives them more.
So dumb that it sounds dumb that we have to be like, oh, you have to explain it to them like the little kids. I'm like,
it starts,
because that's where it starts. That's what we're literally that dumb.
No, pero también entender que el machismo es no nada más es entre hombre y mujer, también es entre hombre y hombre, right? Porque hay la historia que eres hombre, tú no deberías de llorar, no deberías de...
Yo creo que también eso es como, eso de no saber cómo, sino como yo creo que los hombres también tenemos como, if I were to say like who's going to seek help first, I would say it's going to be women first. And then,
definitely.
And super last, just because we have that, like, men don't cry, have like that background of that, especially like up until very recently, like that was like how people were raised, is like, suck up your emotions. So stuff like that, I'm like, fuck, like that's why I get my anxiety kicks up. I'm just like, shit, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and I'm super emotional. I'm crybaby. I'll cry about anything.
It's toxic masculinity, right?
And like I'm super okay with like showing my emotions, and like with my friends showing their emotions. Like, I think it's definitely like a generational thing that's going away, hopefully, which is going to be healthier for us to be able to like become better people within ourselves, and like just kind of progress a little bit and help each other out a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm sure little boys they're not born with not wanting to cry, you know, like that is something taught to them, that is something internalized, and it's like from when they're upbringing. Like, we're not born with this instinct only because I'm a man that function doesn't work anymore. Like, no, like
it's broken.
It's broken.
I think it's just like those. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh
no, I was saying like for those like the not knowing how to deal with your emotions, is like the people that were taught like don't cry, you're the man, is because those people weren't taught how to deal with their emotions. And it doesn't make you less of a man if you like manage your emotions or like use your emotions. Because I think like you were saying, like the toxic masculinity thing, I think it kind of bleeds into that, where it's like it's toxic because it's not managed properly. Like, because masculinity, like, I've been doing like a bunch of research on this, like how we need certain like traits to like move forward, and like the toxic masculinity, like masculinity is like a good thing, but if it's not managed properly, then it becomes like this negative downfall of just like not properly managed emotion. And like it's a very interesting and windy road.
Yeah, because it's like the domino effect, right? Like one thing leads to another, and like most of it we've covered today, but it's like like a toxic relationship between like two males, for example, or like anybody, it's like will lead to like them not talking about their feelings and turning to substance abuse. And like with like older generations, there's a lot of like men, like Latino men, that were dealing with alcoholism, right? Because they were turning to la botella to like deal with, that was their therapist, you know. So it's like it's really like a domino effect, and it's stopping it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just being aware of it, and like it helps, or like being open to it.
And I think like also just having like, if you and your partner having a conversation, because my sister, for one, she does like serving her husband. That's something that she likes. She works full time, he works full time, but that, because I asked her, I was like, he can go get his own plate, like what, like he can go do that. But she's like, no, like this is something I enjoy. Like I it's not that I feel like I'm not like a feminist or anything, like he's being toxic. Like I like serving him, like I like cleaning the house. That's something I enjoy. So I think having the conversation